Today's session is about being an influencer. I am greeting my Zoom class and I am greeting my TikTok class at the same time. So we're going to get into it. Now, a lot of people may have questions about what is social media? How do you use it? How to make it effective? How do you get an audience? How do you reach people? All of those things. And most people I've learned are pretty nervous about it because it's an unknown realm, right? You don't really understand all of the aspects that go into it. And when that happens, it can make you apprehensive about being on camera about a lot of different things. So today we're going to cover all those things that will help you be better at being on social media, okay? I'll start out by explaining that media is just a means of communicating and reaching people or influencing people, okay? Social media is computer mediated technologies that facilitate the creation and sharing of information, ideas, and other forms of expression via virtual communities. So when you hear it, it may sound really big and out of control, like, oh my gosh, social media, it's just a way of being on camera. Let's simplify it, okay? I like to simplify it by telling everybody can be their own broadcaster. That's really what it is. Everyone has their own news channel. Everyone has their own NBC, their own ABC. And that's really what your access to social media means, okay? So with that being said, we're trying to figure out how to reach our audiences, right? And for the people in my online media, I'm teaching a class on Zoom. So if you see me look away from the camera, that is what I'm doing. I'm teaching a session at this time and you guys are part of it. We welcome you to put comments in the chat as well. Okay, thank you for joining us. So we're going to set the foundation. In the foundation of social media, the top thing to consider is how do you want to present yourself? Okay, whether you're a person, whether you're in ministry, whether you have a product, it's all in how you present it. That is your foundation, okay? Now, with the people in my Zoom class, I'm going to put my handout in the chat, and you'll be able to read that and follow along, or just take it with you. I know some of you guys are commuting, you're doing different things. Nonetheless, you can take this later on, and you can be able to read through it. All right, starting out, your first thing in social media is to get your name, get your name, get your name. All right. If in my case, I am Tracy A. Willis, that's who I am everywhere. If you're a business, if you're a person, start out by making sure your name is the same across all platforms. That's the biggest thing, because it's really a distraction when you are, let's say if I'm Tracy Willis #2 on TikTok, I'm Tracy Willis ABC on Twitter, I'm Tracy. You see what I'm saying? You can lose your audience very fast because your name keeps changing across these different platforms. So you want to figure out how to be the same person everywhere. It's all about maintaining your audience, because everyone's not going to be on Facebook. Everyone's not going to be on Instagram. Everyone's not, you see what I mean? So you really want to make sure that you are uniform across all platforms. I say that is the beginning because some people just jump out and I want to have an account on Instagram, and they just grab a name and they're so excited to have it. They're not considering the long picture. Okay, so that is your first place. Make sure your name is the same. Sometimes there may be a variation and you can't have the exact same name. Pick one variation, okay? If I'm Tracy A. Willis, but I can't be Tracy A. Willis over here, I may be Tracy A. Willis with the #1 behind my name. But literally pick one variation that is going to work so people, again, can find you. They can track you, okay? The next thing is your presentation, all right? Presentation. I have run across people who don't always consider that, and it is so key. And this is where I like to compare it. Many of us like old TV shows, right? Whether you like I Love Lucy or whether you like Living Single or Friends or whatever. The point is all that stuff lives on forever. So when you aren't presented in a manner where you want to be seen forever, now you may be upset later on when you see something and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't do. Yes. So it is a matter of checking your nose, checking your eyes, checking your clothes, checking your background, do all of those things before you get started. So let's say if you're a person and you're teaching whatever, a Bible study, you're teaching a small group or what have you, those things are what can become a distraction later on, because a person is constantly looking at there's something sticking out your nose, right? And you didn't know. So literally just take your time, make sure that everything about you is pulled together. So when you present, all right, I have an ongoing a joke with somebody about the chair that they have. And the chair is a distraction sometimes, because as you're talking and it's like, well, then when they become conscious of it, now it's like, now they don't want to move. Well, in all honesty, those small things can build up after a while. It's like hearing someone with the chirping sound of their smoke detector in their room, right? And we're like, can you please change the batteries in that thing? I know you know how to change the batteries. Get a ladder, get a step stool, do something. But we become very, very eye blind, ear blind, and nose blind to a lot of things. And so you want to make sure that your surroundings are conducive to you being able to go live and you be able to share the appropriate information. I'll give an example for myself today. Today, all the sounds on my phone are off. Today, all the phones in my house are off. You see what I mean? So that's very key when you're going to present, because you want to get full attention of your audience and not let something that you do become that distraction that will keep them from following you or watching you. Okay. And again, if you have questions, put them in the chat. The people in the Zoom, you can post them in the chat. I will see them, because again, I want to be able to answer your questions too and not just run through it. There's a lot of information to carry, but cover. But I want to be able to try to address you guys. Okay. The next thing is emails. Sounds minor, but in building your social media brand, you want to be able to have, again, everything needs to match all across these boards, everything, even your email. So as you're building who you are in social media and you're saying, hey, I want you to be able to contact me and reach me, it's good if you're going to say, I'm John Doe. I'm John Doe on all platforms, but all of a sudden someone has to contact you offline because now they want to engage you, whether it's a speaker or whatever it is, they want to engage you offline. But now John Doe online is really, pinkpurple@gmail.com. Okay, so you're kind of, again, try to make sure everything is all in alignment. Okay, where's a good place to get different backgrounds? If you're speaking of backgrounds that you put behind you, there are actually banners that you can purchase. They're on Amazon, and they have 7-foot banners, they have 8-foot banners, they have different things that are wide that you can sit behind you and be able to block whatever's going on. They come with a stand, they come with all the different tools that you may need to be able to hang it, okay? And when you want to pick that background, you want to pick something that has a little contrast, but not too much contrast, because again, you can start losing people because it's too much happening. Okay, in my case, I had curtains that are hanging behind me, and that is how I can block what's behind there, right? But I've gone to Amazon, and let's say, I think they average maybe $50, maybe $60 to get a good background, a good backdrop. If you don't like it, the beauty of Amazon is send it right back. That's why I would prefer to get it from there. Okay. Are there apps that show a face forward like a teleprompter? Can you clarify that for me, please? Because if you're saying that, yeah, I'll let you go ahead and ask.
Okay, praise the Lord. So it's sort of like when the newscasters read and they get their wording in front of them. So when I'm talking to my audience, I'm actually reading my script at the same time. So it looks like I'm saying it all from memory.
Got you. In all honesty, I don't know of an app for that, but I will say this is what a lot of people do as a cheat. When the camera's facing you, that's just one little dot, right? You can put anything you want behind that camera, anything you want near the camera. If you happen to be at a computer, some people do a split screen, because again, it's the camera who's looking at you. It doesn't matter if you see yourself or not, right? So you can minimize seeing yourself on whatever device and put whatever it is that you want to read on that screen. Does that make sense? So that way they don't know you're reading. Like right now, I'm looking at you, but I can be reading from a sheet of paper right here in front of me. You wouldn't know it. So that's the way you can do it without having to go layer into another app. Does that make sense? Okay. And then if you're in a situation where it's your phone, again, seeing yourself isn't as key. You don't have to see yourself. You can put that in the front. But again, if you happen to be at a computer, you can do a split screen or what I've done before. And it can be so simple as, again, right now you have no idea that I just put a piece of paper on my monitor, but it is, I can tape it right here and I can read the whole thing. Okay. So I hope that helps. All right. I do it on my phone. Yes, that is perfect. Put it right there on the phone. Again, they don't know what's in front of you. All they see is that one little camera coming back at your face. All right. Now we're going to get into the test. Whoever's watching online, whoever's in the class, here's the test. Question. What is it that makes you nervous about going live and why? And that's for you guys too who are watching on TikTok. What makes you nervous about going live? What makes you nervous about being on camera? Because then we can try to knock those things down. Because statistically, 80 to 90% of people who are going to pay attention to you are online. They're online, okay? There's no way around it. We like to think of things that we used to do in the old way we used to do, and being honest, that isn't necessarily going to work anymore. It can work in certain aspects, even when it comes to like business cards. Business cards are good in certain arenas. However, when all is said and done, people are using QR codes now. You scan your phone, you see what I mean? And so we have to become wise about how we're communicating and reaching people. When I'm watching people on these social media platforms, and let's say they have a product they want to sell, it's nice that you have pictures that you want to show, like, oh, this is a really great hat that I have, and I need you to buy this hat. And they'll have a picture of the hat. However, it would go so much further if they had the hat on and they were able to talk about it and show about it, right? Again, what are the apprehensions? What are the things that may make you nervous? And then knock those down. Because I look at it like this. It's a person. You're talking to a person. You're talking to a human being. Yes, they're behind the camera. Yes, they're somewhere else in the world, but it's a human being. You're engaging another human being. And if you look at it that way, don't think about the number of people watching you. Think about you're talking to one person. If you can personalize that, it will eliminate a lot of the fears you may have about going live. It may, knock all that down as opposed to thinking of the larger audience. And when you think of it as one person, you can personalize your approach, right? Because you're not in a room where you're having to glance the room constantly and try to make eye contact with everybody in the room. You're looking at one device and you want to personalize it. So like right now, as I'm looking, in my mind, I'm talking to one person and I'm hoping I reach that one person. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Yes.
So you said, what is our fear? For me, it's the fear of not looking professional for the Lord, or looking or representing him in a nice manner. Because a lot of times I don't see myself unless I, replay something that I was on, but I really don't know how I present. So I don't go live a lot. I do reels so that I can record again, and then post. But I do want to be more authentic myself. But I think it's the fear of being perfect, and not that, I just don't want to look like a mess, I guess, going live.
That's a very valid, incredibly valid reply. Because a good portion of the time, that is someone's concern. How do I look? Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? And if I record it and I don't like how it looked, I can hit delete and I can do it again, right? It gets back to what I said a moment ago, personalize it. Personalize it. Actually treat the camera like you're talking to a family member, because God wants the authentic you, right? And the authentic you clearly is good enough for everybody because it's who you are. It's who he made you to be. So with that being said, just like now, I'm sitting here and I'm addressing you. However, at the same time, I'm addressing a group that's here and I'm addressing those in this class, right? So with that being said, literally start small. Start small. If you feel like you want to go live on Facebook, they have an option on who sees it. You can pick if it's just your friends who see it, if it's just private, or if it is global. If you want to, if you're nervous, go private, go live private. Do that. That's an option. That way, no one's really seeing it, but you're kind of getting into the feel of going live. All right. Once you're done and once you're finished doing your live, and pick something that, let's say you're reading a book, or maybe you're teaching a lesson to yourself, but you're live. Again, no one can see it but you. When you're done, you end the live, go back and look at it and see how you did. And that's a good test, because technically you're live, but you're not live at the same time. Does that make sense? Okay. So hopefully that can help you out to get used to it. Or pick some friends and say, hey, y'all need to go live real quick, and do it in a Zoom and do it like that. But after a while, you'll get to the point of like, okay, all right, I'm just talking. I'm just flowing. Because what I've noticed is people who won't go live, but they'll record, you tend to think too much about what you have to say. When you're live, you're just talking, you're just chewing the fat, okay? And that helps you come through. All righty. The question is, how difficult is it to get one name if you have already been on social media? Honestly, it's not that hard at all, because a lot of these platforms that you change your name over and over again. Facebook may put a gap between it. They may say, oh, you've already changed your name, you can't do it again for X number of weeks, something like that. But Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, even YouTube, they all let you change your name. And so this is how you test it. You go to those platforms and type in the name you think you want, see if it's available. And yes, you have to have a notepad on the side because you want to write down what you find, right? So, okay, I'm going to go youtube.com/Tracy's Cookies. Okay, I see it's available. All right, that's the name I want. Let me go to Twitter, do the same thing, look up Tracy's Cookies. Okay, it's available. You see what I mean? You start like that. Then once you realize, oh, wow, I can get all these names, now go back and start changing them. And it's in your profile, and there's a part in there where it says change your username. It's an edit feature, and change your name in there. So not hard at all. Okay. All right. So I've got any questions here? All righty. So now we're getting into the different social media platforms and how they're beneficial. Okay. Facebook, which people say, oh, that's old people. Old people are on Facebook. That's all that's on there. Facebook is good because it is a pool of interaction that no other platforms actually offer. Facebook allows you to have your private groups, allows you to have a feed of people actually communicating and interacting a little differently than any other platform. Facebook is still good at connecting with people who you have not seen in a while. So you will be able to do a little more of community work on Facebook. That's what it's good for, more of a community aspect, whether it's ministry or small groups or what have you. That's where that pool makes more sense than anywhere else, okay? Twitter is good if you just want conversation. I look at Twitter as a newspaper. It's great for just reading. Yes, they have incorporated images and videos, but most of the time a person is just really there to read. I'm concerned they just changed Twitter, where you used to have to only do everything in 240 characters. So you had to be creative with what you said because you didn't have that many characters to say something. Now they're changing it to something like 4,000 characters or something, and you click on read more and you'll be able to read more. Point is, it's still reading, right? It's still a lot of reading. That's what Twitter is good for. Instagram is good for a lot of still images. Yes, they've tried to go into reels and they try to add the videos, but in all honesty, a person who likes Instagram likes it because you see images at a quick rate. I don't have to really think about what I'm looking at. I can just flip and I can just see the image, see the word, whatever it is they're saying to me. I can see it in a quick image, the picture, or it's some kind of an image they made with certain words on it. So that's where Instagram really has its strong suit, in visual, strictly visual. Okay. You get into TikTok. TikTok is good because it is constant videos, constant videos. You have a chance to digest a lot of moving imagery in a small window of time, because your average video can't be longer than 3 minutes on TikTok. Okay. So you think of how you want to present, and that's how you know which platforms you want to make your strong suit. Nowadays, you can cross share across all these platforms. I can make something on TikTok. When it's done, it saves to my phone. I share it to Instagram. When I share it to Instagram, Instagram has a feature where it automatically shares to Facebook. You see what I mean? So a lot of these, they're already cross sharing. So it's not like you have to fully maintain all these platforms. You just have to pick the one that you're more comfortable with and make that the place where you make your content. And then you can share it to the other places. Okay. Now, once you share it, here's what's key: engage. You need to at least go back to those platforms every so often and click like, say something back. The fact that a person took time to look at what you put out, they took time to watch it, read it, or look at it, you want to respect that. So don't just put something out there and then take off running and then you never come back. There are people who do that, and now all of a sudden it creates a distance between you and that audience that you're trying to engage and you're trying to create. So go back. You may get busy. Our schedules all get busy. It may take you a day or two to go back. That's fine, but go back and at least like. I use the example of my church. When we go live, I'm in the chat, engaging with the people in the chat during the stream. And I see entities that don't necessarily do that. Well, it's two things. One, you're not personalizing it. The fact that they're already away from you, they're already at a distance. So they're not with you. You want to know, how do I pull them in? How do I make them want to feel like they're important to me? So the way you break that wall is engagement. Again, a simple like doesn't hurt. And also, in some cases, it helps with the algorithm, because it tells that entity, whatever that platform is, that you're actively engaging. And then sometimes it'll help promote that thing to someone else. So let's say, for instance, I'm watching a live feed on my personal page, and I'm like, oh, I like this, and I'm watching it. And then, oh, they're liking me back. Well, the fact that I'm engaging, now my feed is taking notice. Now all of a sudden, one of my friends is going to get a note saying, Tracy's watching this. And so after a while, now someone else is going to come watch it because I'm watching it. So some of these platforms actually help you spread the word. Okay. I'll give the example of a TikTok. TikTok is good at, if you're watching something and there's someone who's already your friend, all of a sudden, as they're scrolling, those lives will start showing up on their feed as if they follow you already. They don't follow you already. It's just that someone they follow is paying attention. Okay. So you want to work with these algorithms, and it's a fancy word of saying code. That's what I'm going to call it. It's a fancy way of saying code, because all this technology is full of codes on the back end that are designed to pick up on nuances and action. Okay. So that's a part of what you want to do. Engage. I will give a shout out to my pastor, and I will give a shout out to the founder of this organization, Spirit and Life Ministries International. They're very good at acknowledging when someone pops in. They'll say, oh, hey, Jones, thanks for joining me. Oh, hey, Mary, thanks for joining us. Even that is important, because that person's like, oh, they see I'm here. And the thing is, they're less likely to leave your live. They'll stay because, like, oh my gosh, they know I'm here, so now I got to stay and I have to watch, right? So that's another part of calling them out and acknowledging who they are, okay? Like in my feed, I have Bedrock. Thanks, Bedrock, for following me. Rexy, thank you for watching. Simple as that. And now they feel important. So as you see, the whole thing with social media is the first word, social. You want to be social and make people feel connected, especially after the pandemic. We all felt a little more disconnected, right? Now this is trying to help reconnect us, because an indictment against social media has been, it forces people to be separate. Well, now it's our job to help them be reconnected, and not just be sitting behind a keyboard, sitting behind a phone, and they're in their own bubble. No, help get them out of their bubble by bringing them into your online bubble. Okay. Any other questions? Pop them up on the screen. Pop them up in the class. Now I'm going to address ministries, specifically ministries at this point. And if you happen to be a person who has a small business, I'm addressing you too. When you get into this, you definitely want to have different ways to collect revenue. Different ways to collect revenue. Okay. With that being said, you have so many out there right now. You really, really do. What tends to be common, of course, are like Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. Those are really common right now, although there are a lot of other ones. There's PayPal that still exists. And the benefit of PayPal is there's more of a legal team to help you if something goes wrong. And that's what I like about PayPal. If I go through PayPal and I do something and it doesn't quite hammer out, they're quick to be on it. And they're quick to mediate the situation so you don't have to fight as much. Some of these other sources don't really do that. Like with Zelle, if you send someone Zelle and there was an accident, they tell you up front, right? When you exit Zelle, it says it right on there. You're adding a person that we don't know. Once you're done, you're done. So with that being said, you want to have all the different ways. I don't see any harm in having all of them. That's me. So yes, I have the PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, Klarna. It's so many out right now. It's amazing that they're Afterpay. All these things allow you to collect revenue because, again, you want to meet the people where they are. We're back to being social. Meet them where they are. Everyone doesn't have Cash App, but somebody else may have Venmo. Someone may have Zelle. So if you're a small business, if you are a church, if you're a small group, have all those in place, all of them. You're not paying for it to sit out there. You just want to have it, okay? Now, I've had this conversation with people. Oh my gosh, well, if I do PayPal or if I do Cash App, they take 3% of the money. My response is, would you rather them take 3% or you get no percent? Which one is it? Well, the answer tends to be, I may as well offer it, because if a person wants to give me $20, thank you for the 20, but you're upset because they're getting ready to take a little, 60 cents out of your $20. So yes, have all of them. And again, we're back to branding. Try to get your name at all these places. They let you pick your own name. So Cash App lets you pick your name. I am Tracy A. Willis on Cash App. I am Tracy A. Willis on Venmo. Tracy A. Willis at PayPal. Again, it's about branding. Do not make people have to find you. That is where you will lose people. Pick a name, stick with it across all the platforms. And again, your average fee is 3%. If you set it up as a person, it's kind of no percent. It's when you set it up as a business, that's when you start to lose the money, okay? Person to person, they still don't tag you. You still don't lose money. But if it's a company, that's when you start losing money. Even with Venmo, once it's a company, they take money. And with Venmo, for those that don't know, if you are receiving money on Venmo, business or not, there's a little feature on there and it'll say, protect your purchase. And you click that. That basically means they're going to deduct a fee from the person who receives it. That's really what that means. Okay. So you're like, oh my gosh, I'm sending my friend $20 and she might not get it. And I want to protect it. Well, now your friend is going to get 3% less because you hit that little button. So that's really what that means. If you don't select that button, they will get everything you send them. All right. Again, if you're a company, Cash App, PayPal, they're going to take fees. If you're not a company and you're a person, you won't really lose the fees. Okay. Any questions? I'm going to pause and make sure I give all your questions and be able to make room. Okay. Go ahead.
I know on Cash App, if you don't cash the money out immediately, if you let it go, the slow boat, they don't take the fees. But if you cash it out immediately, they will take the fees.
And
so they give you an option.
Yeah, here's the thing. You have what's called instant transfer and you have what's called 1 to 3 day transfer. And this is all your platforms. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, they all do the exact same thing. So what they want to do is they want to gain another fee, because it is another fee. Again, if you're a business, they've already taken a fee for the fact that you took a transaction. And they want to gain another fee because you want your money right away. But here's the thing that they're never going to explain to you, but here's the truth. You're going to get it the next day regardless. Regardless. Once you hit that option of withdrawal, that 1 to 3 days, it's still going to be in your account the next day. So it's that little small nuance. They don't want you to know that. They just want you to be like, oh my gosh, I need my money right now and make me an instant transfer. Nah, I mean, if you really need it, yes, there are times when you really need it. Like your account is looking at you like, we in the hole, can you get us out of this hole? And that instant transfer is important. However, most of the time, just stick with the standard transfer. It'll be there the next day. Okay. And they really tried to get people during the pandemic because they made instant transfers free during the pandemic. And people got so excited about instant transfers. And someone's out here saying, yes, Zelle, that's a great one. Instant, oh, they was excited. And all of a sudden, you're like, what? Now there's a fee? It kind of messed people up. But yes, that's the workaround. Now, we'll caution people on your Zelle. If you are an entity that maintains your books a certain way, Zelle isn't as friendly. Because what Zelle does is Zelle is dumping money directly into your bank account. So if you're looking for a different way to track your records, that means you're having to look in your bank account on a regular basis to see that a Zelle deposit has come in. And that can throw you off. Let's say if you're an entity where you're report based, okay? And you're like, oh my gosh, I took in some transactions. With Venmo, you can pull a report. Cash App, you can pull a report. Same thing with PayPal. Zelle, you can't. It's just money into your account. So you have to be very conscious about tracking that. And you need to be conscious on why the person paid you. Because sometimes in Zelle, they don't always make the notes. You know, you could, some of these other platforms can kind of force you in a way. Cash App they want you to make notes. Venmo wants you to make notes. PayPal, you can set up features where they're making a transaction for a specific purpose. Zelle is just money coming in. So I will make that note for those of you guys who really use that. Be conscious of the fact it can throw your books off a little bit, because you may say, hey, I'm operating at this level and I know my bank account is going to be at this level. All of a sudden your bank account is elevating and you don't know why it's elevating. That's because Zelle transactions are coming in and you didn't know they were coming in. All right. So be mindful of that, because again, it can throw you off on the back end. I'm going through that a little bit with the entity I work with, because people can give by Zelle. Well, that means I'm having to always make sure I print the email. Zelle will always send you an email when you get it, print it out right away. Print it and keep it. That is the best way you can avoid having any confusion later, because you may not be a person who reconciles your bank accounts on a weekly basis. You may reconcile monthly. Well, it can throw your reconciliation off because these Zelle transactions kind of threw you. Okay, so as soon as you get the email, print it out, keep it, and that will help you make your own books off to the side. All right. Any of the questions in there? All righty. So now we're getting into streaming. We've already talked about going live. Now we're going to talk about streaming. That's another way to get your information out there without having to fight with the camera, if you don't necessarily want to fight with the camera, because you can do pre-recorded and stream it and it looks live, or you can stream live on your own. You could do either one. And with that being said, right now you have different products out there to help you do it. StreamYard is very popular. Some people use Restream. That's popular as well. These things help you to go live on multiple platforms at the same time. All right. Now, if I wasn't doing this session, I may have gone live on StreamYard. StreamYard lets me go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all at the same time. It also allows you to go live on a website if you have a website. So you want to look into products like that will help you reach more audiences at the same time. Because otherwise you got multiple phones set up all over the place, using tablets, using everything else, trying to all talk to all these people at the same time, when you can have one way to just engage with them in one direction. Okay. That's just a quick tip on live stream. And I hope that can help. It was very abbreviated, but that's the point of it. You want to go live in more than one place at a time. Okay. Zoom, not there yet, because Zoom, for people who don't know, Zoom became popular during the pandemic, but it really was just created for like a back-end meeting platform. So you had corporations that were using Zoom. It was meant for them to be able to interact around the world. When you have a large corporation where people are in China or people are in, New York or what have you, you needed a way to meet. And so that's where Zoom came in. Well, during the pandemic, it became the catch-all for everything. So it's still a standalone product that's meant for that, for meeting. not necessarily for all we wanted to do. That's why you're never going to hear, well, not never, but right now you're not going to hear how you can go live from Zoom and all of this. It's not going to happen right now. They are still maintaining themselves as a independent bubble for meeting purposes, because that's what it is. Okay. Now, when it comes time to posting on social media, you want to try to be consistent. Again, you can make a video or an image on one product and share it to the other products, or you can use products like Hootsuite. It's a company called Hootsuite, Hootsuite. Hootsuite is good for sharing one thing everywhere at the same time, and you can plan it out. Okay, so let's say if you said, hey, I have an event coming up and it's coming up in May, but I know I need to be on social media throughout to keep people reminded. You go to Hootsuite, you program it there, it does all the rest. You're able to select your dates. You can select your dates 6 months out, and it will post to social media for you. Okay, it will do the work for you. So if you have a flyer that you're trying to send out and you're like, I don't have time, I'm not going to keep remembering to go to Facebook and put it there. I'm not going to remember to go here. I'm not going to remember to go there. Go into a product. There are different companies, but I currently use Hootsuite, and you can maintain different entities there. So let's say if you have your own pages, let's say that your company has its own page, it can all be in Hootsuite. You can see all of them, and you can pick and choose where you want it to pick. So I can pick an image, say, here's a flyer for this event, and I want it to show up on my page. I want it to show up on Twitter. I want it to show up on Instagram. You can do all that right there in the product. And I want this to go out on February 20th at 4 p.m. And Hootsuite will tell you suggested times on when you can, they'll say, hey, this is a great time to do that. And then you pick that time. Again, it goes out for you. And this is great when you're doing a drip campaign. And drip campaign just means that you have different imagery you want to post over time. So if you're having a big event and you've got 10 speakers, well, maybe Monday you want to highlight one speaker, Wednesday another speaker, so on and so forth. Drip campaigns are perfect when it comes to stuff like this, because you can schedule them out. And you don't have to sit there and get to your computer or device and figure out, when do I post this? When do I post that? Products like that do all the work for you. I'm all about working smarter, not harder. Okay. Let's see. Can StreamYard include your current online accounts, Facebook, YouTube, etc.? Yes, they can. So when you're in StreamYard, you can say, hey, I think I want to stream. I'm backing up to live stream, everybody. So we're done with the Hootsuite aspect, or Tweetcaster. They have other products and other apps. Just check them out and you'll see where you'll be able to post to all those different places at the same time. Back to streaming, whether you're StreamYard, Restream, a couple other products some people use. I think one's called OBS, different ones. Yes, you can program any platform you want. You can do it a personal platform. You could do it on a business platform, YouTube platform. It doesn't restrict you. It's just a matter of granting access. That's all you really have to do. You have to grant the access. So when you log in and you're saying pick destinations, that's what it calls it, destinations, put in what you want. And then when you're ready to create your stream, you're selecting which ones you want to do. So maybe you just want to go live on Facebook and YouTube that time. You select those, or all of them. So it lets you pick and choose. Did that answer the question? Okay. And it's good for some of the person asking the question. They have been talking about an independent ministry to be able to encourage and share information they know about. That becomes a good option for that, because you can just be in one place. You don't have to get on your phone and figure out how to do that. You can just do it and be able to appear in these different places. Okay. All right. Any other questions out here? Can you please post the names of your apps you use for live stream? Yes, I will share it in the chat later on. All right, Lisa?
Yes, do you use Canva at all?
Okay, the question is using Canva. Canva is the perfect app for people who aren't as familiar with graphic design. So yes, those who don't know as much about graphic design, Canva is your friend. Because one, it's not going to cost as much as, like, I'm in graphic design, so I use Adobe. Adobe can be very expensive over time, but that's a business that I operate. So it makes sense for me. But if you're an everyday person, a product like a Canva is great for you because you're able to go in and it gives you templates. It's very easy to operate and it's very easy to export. They do not watermark your product because that's something you're going to run into when you try to look for other companies. They want to watermark your product because they're not charging you in many cases. So they're trying to figure out how to get their money, right? So they want to watermark everything you do, meaning their name is in the bottom corner of something that you've made for them. So yes, to answer your question, Canva is great, but in Canva, you just want to be sure you're choosing the right template, okay? Because Canva is going to let you know if you're making something for Instagram, which is a square. When you see it says IG square or it says a 1-to-1 ratio, that means it's Instagram because Instagram prefers squares. That's their niche in the market, the square. If you're doing what's called a 9-to-16 ratio, that's your average phone because your phone is what's considered 9-to-16 ratio. So that's it's not quite landscape. It is more of a phone, portrait. It's not quite portrait, it's a phone portrait. Because then you also have a different ratio. We'll get into all of them, a different one where it's meant for full portrait flyers, like, something that would be like a regular piece of paper. All right. So just a matter of you picking the correct ratio because some people don't do that and they'll go make something like this and they want to put it on Instagram. And then they're upset because everything down here got cut off because Instagram isn't made for everything down here. It's made for everything upward. So that's important when you're making these promos, consider where you're going to post it. What I've done is recently I've started doing more things, just do it in the Instagram square. Saves you the headache. It saves you trying to figure out what's going to fit where. If you're just doing standard posting, okay? If you're getting into more global posting, then yes, you're going to have to do some things in an Instagram square, and then you also want to do things in landscape. And the reason you want to do that is because when you go live, appropriate live, not everyday phone live, but if you're streaming for a product and you're streaming for a ministry, people are watching you in this format, not in this format. So that's why you need to make promos that are also in landscape, because otherwise, when you put stuff out, it's going to always be cut off here. And then that becomes an issue when you're trying to go big. Okay. So you want to consider that these are different media platforms. Example is TikTok prefers the phone size, right? 9:16. However, YouTube prefers the other direction. So that's why you have to always try to consider. And it's much easier to always do landscape. Again, this is landscape, because worst case scenario, if you're on a phone, it'll just be kind of dark at the bottom and dark at the top, but you'll still get the full screen. And a person can always turn their phone sideways to get the full landscape picture. So do your best to always try to go live. When you're doing multiple platforms, go live at landscape. Okay. So did that answer the question? That helped out? All righty. Moving right along. We have less than 10 minutes left. I want to make a really quick note about podcasts. A very quick note about podcasts. Some people underestimate the power of podcasts. You have a lot of people who don't have time to look visually. They can listen, but they can't look. And they don't always have the battery power, or they don't always have the internet bandwidth to watch. So you may say, oh, I can just make a video. They're going to listen to me anyway. No, because if you're driving along, you're going to have interference as you're driving along. And so you're going to start getting interrupted. So this is where podcasts come in handy. You may be a person who says, you know what, I don't care what you say. I'm not good on camera. You can sandwich that all the way you want to. I'm not good on camera, but I can talk to people. I'm good at talking if I'm not on camera. That's where your podcast comes in, because it's just a conversation. It's a fancy way of saying radio. How about that? It's a fancy way of saying radio, and it allows you to have these conversations. You can have panelists. You can be just yourself, sharing your story. You can be sharing information, whatever you want, by talking. And I'm sharing this because you may be a person who wants to do all of them, which is perfectly normal. You may be a person where podcast, but that's a little bit more my speed than this. So it's just something to consider as you're thinking of how to get out there. I will say that I have a couple ministries that I handle all of their social media. I create podcasts for them too, but I use it out of the sermons. So I'll take the entire sermon and I will take the entire stream from the singing, all of that, and I sandwich it just into the sermon, and I turn that into audio and I put it out on a podcast. There are a lot of people who that's how they're going to hear what you have to say, because they're able to see it on a product like that. Okay, so don't automatically discount it, but consider it, because it's something that can also reach a listening audience. All right. And yeah, any questions on that? There are a lot of products. I use Podbean, but there are a lot of different products. There's actually products called podcast or whatever, but it's a lot that you can find that will actually meet you where you need to be. All right. I'm gonna cover this real quick. Hashtags. All right. Old school people, we call them the pound sign. All right. That's what they are. It's the pound sign on the old phones. Okay. And with that being said, people are like, what's the point of a hashtag? Why I got to use a hashtag? A hashtag is a way of incorporating different entities and different products that otherwise would not be incorporated. So if I say hashtag class, anybody who's looking for a class can click on that hashtag and they will see all the class, everybody else who use that. Okay. If you're trying to figure out how to reach people and you say, you know what, I'm going to be selling, I don't know, I'm going to be selling Jello. I'll use something general, Jello. But I don't know if I can market to everybody. How do I reach people? Hashtag Jello. And everybody who's looking for Jello will click that hashtag and they will see everything. Whoever use hashtag Jello, you will see it. Saying that because some people underestimate the importance of hashtags. They're like, I'm just going to put the product out there. I'm just going to post it and let it go. No, this is how you get in the face of people who won't find you on their own, because they're not going to know to go look up Tracy A. Willis. Who am I? But they know that, oh, she's talking about God, hashtag God. I click on that. I get to see everything. Okay. So get into those hashtags, and you want to set it up based on what you're talking about. Okay. So like if I'm talking about social media, hashtag social media. And that's how you help to grow the audience. All right. So don't underestimate that in your groups, ministries, whatever. Every post you put should have some type of hashtag in it somewhere. All right. The same thing. I want to, as you're getting into hashtags, I want to make a footnote on when you're using someone else's sound. This is really, really important. I need everyone to hear this. Using someone else's sound, it is vitally important you give credit to whoever sound you're using. And I'm running across this on TikTok, where it's a really big problem because they let you use so many different sounds, right? And whether it's a voiceover, whether you got a choir playing in the background, whatever it is, you need to give credit to them somewhere in your individual product. Globally, it's a little harder. I will say, like for our ministry, we maintain a license that allows us to play professional music and stream professional music and not be dinged, because you can be sued for every single infraction. It depends on who that entity is. And once again, everything in technology is all about code. You get down to the basics, it's a whole bunch of zeros and ones. That's what technology is, zeros and ones. So you get the right series of zeros and ones, the systems that be, and I will call it that, the code, they read and they know that you're playing a professional song made by somebody. So let's say you put out a song and it's an old James Brown favorite, and James Brown's the company that owns his music. They know the code is already out there, and you're just playing it in your stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, that's my music. Da, da, da. All of a sudden, you're getting a notification, flag, copyright claim. It's happening because those companies are protective of their content, okay, of their content. So do give credit. In some instances, giving credit can kind of help you get out of a little bit of a sticky situation. And you want to be able to say, releasing the rights. I own no rights to this. You want to be able to say that. Cases like Facebook, they don't care. They will still take the sound off. That's what they're doing now. They just take the sound completely off of it, or they will block the video altogether. You're just a talking, you're going live, and no one sees you because Facebook has already shut you down over a copyright infringement. So you want to be sure that you're cautious about the music you're playing, the person who you're voicing over. Voiceovers are really popular, but the problem is you voice over, but you strip the original creator of their rights. And this is so easy to do. And I will speak specifically on TikTok and on Instagram, because you can upload, you can take a person's video, download it, create your own video, voicing over what they're saying. So you're mimicking what they're saying. When you upload it, the original person is no longer there because you stripped it, right? You took it, you created your own and put it up. Well, now, who did the original? Who did that? That person has the right to come back at you, and they have the right to sue you. They have a right to report your account. And after a while, your account will get blocked and banned. It can happen so easily, and it becomes a big fight. So I really want to emphasize the importance of giving the right credit to the people that do it, because I like to say it this way: when that's you and you're the one making the product, you're the one speaking the sound, you're the one doing all the work, and all of a sudden you look up one day and there's someone else's face on your voice. So again, put yourselves in the shoes of the person who did that. And it happens so often. And the downside is, let's say, and I'm going to use a big name. Okay, let's say there's a Beyonce who says, I'm going to voice over Lisa. And wow. And so she goes out and Lisa was saying some good, encouraging words. And Beyonce voiced over it. No one even knew who Lisa was. But now all of a sudden, Beyonce's making millions of dollars off of what it appeared to be her saying these words. You see what I'm saying? That's why it's critical that we do our part to respect social media, respect the structures, follow the rules. It's not hard. Follow the rules so you can make sure you don't get banned, you don't get dinged, and that your account can grow, because that's what you're after. Account growth means I'm reaching people, because that's what it's all about. I'm reaching people. I'm not out here because I ain't got nothing else to do. I'm bored. I want to reach people. Okay. What happens if you're good at impression? You still want to put their name in there. You still want to say it. So if you are real good at saying the exact words of what you saw on TV, I have a friend of mine who she can give you every word from The Color Purple, top to bottom. She can cite the entire play, the entire movie from front to back, and you can mimic. You know, I'm good at that too. Lisa raised her hand. I love The Color Purple. And it's so funny how many times you catch yourself quoting words from that movie. Recently, I had a friend of mine that says, "Oh, are you going to be busy all day?" And I'm like, "All day." That's The Color Purple line. So again, if you're doing it in a space where you're streaming or whatever, just acknowledge it. Give the proper credit, Lisa.
Yeah. And yes, I found that to be true where I've used music.
Mm-hmm.
And some countries ban the video. I don't know necessarily where the hashtag is going, what country it might end up in, but I do use the hashtags and music, but sometimes it will not play my video in certain areas. And they're pretty nice about it. It may play it in America or in Kenya, but it won't play it in Ukraine because of the infringement rights. So I have had videos like that. And then how do you deal with it when you don't know who the original voice is? You know,
when you don't know you can actually acknowledge that. Acknowledge
okay.
it somewhere in the description of your video. Acknowledge unknown voice or not my voice. Something that at least acknowledges this isn't me.
Mm-hmm.
And then that can help you, because at some point, I'll say what I tend to do is Google, which has perfected its product through the moon. Okay. You can literally, whatever sound you're saying, if they're saying, "Oh, this is the most wonderful apple I've ever seen," type that in Google.
Okay.
And see what comes up.
Because I don't want CeCe Winan coming back at me. I use her voiceover, but I didn't cite her. But yes.
It's amazing where it comes from. And the country part is a little harder because some countries just have a ban on certain music, period. It has nothing to do with your hashtag or whatever. It's just certain music that certain countries aren't going to allow, whether it's a Christianity issue, you know what I'm saying? Or whether it is lyrics. Some countries are a little more tighter, and so you're going to get that. But what you really want to be sure is it's not an American ban. That's the hardest. Now, for those that don't know, I have a YouTube page I'm up to about almost 23,000 subscribers. And I've had to learn how to be very, very careful because my page grew based on me going to concerts and recording the songs, not the whole concert, but the song. So every time they sing a song, I hit record. And when they're done, I end it, and that becomes its own YouTube video. Well, I started early on trying to put in there who's singing it, the record label, the date it was released, and in the very bottom, I will put in there, I own no rights to this music. It is posted for entertainment purposes only. All rights are released to the artist, the label, and or writers respectively. I put myself, and I do not monetize it. And that's something else. Do not monetize if you're not sure. YouTube, all these platforms give you money for what you do, right? It's like you may make 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, whatever. It's called monetizing, meaning they're able to put an ad on top of your video, in front of your video, and then they can make money from the ad. Well, that means you got the right to all the content behind there. Well, if you don't, get ready for the emails. Get ready, because you're going to be getting them saying you're infringing. This is your warning. You're infringing. This is your second warning. And after a while, you're banned. It doesn't matter how you try to slice that apple, you're banned. Okay, so be sure that you definitely take time to acknowledge who did it. Okay, so it's a scary situation. I learned a lesson with Janet Jackson. I'd gone to one of her concerts and did the same thing. And out of all of the artists in all of history, Janet Jackson and Prince were the tightest. You cannot repost what they did in no way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, if you want to pick one of their songs, be careful, because again, they had the tightest controls on their content. Now, you remember Prince got so into it that, remember, he was fighting with his label, and that's when he put the words on his face and he changed his name. Because a lot of times we don't even understand that there are fights going on in the back end with some of the artists and their labels and their writers. And so when we're out there pushing their product, you're actually defeating their purpose, right? So that's why they have the right to do whatever they want with their music. We don't. They can do whatever they want with their voice and their sound. We can't. We just have to pay homage to the fact that that was them. Okay. All right. My last few tips, I'm going to use my last 2 minutes. When you get ready to go live, number one, plan out when you're going to do it. Location, location, location. Do not go live in the bathroom. Don't do that. Don't do that. And if you're going to do it, make sure maybe the shower curtain's behind you. Okay? Do not do it with other stuff. All right? So location, location, location. Number two, let there be light. That's what I call it, meaning a well-lit room. I'm actually using a ring light today. Be well lit, because you don't want to be the one sitting in dark and can't nobody hardly see what you're saying or what you're doing. Now you're defeating the purpose again. Have good lighting. Okay. Number three, all angles are not good angles. All right. While it may seem like it's good to have that phone sitting down here, guess what we're doing? We're looking up your nose the whole time. We're looking at your boogies and the trimmings that you need to do. So yes, it's comfortable to have your phone holding it like this. And I'll use an example. This is my phone and I want to talk like this into my phone. Well, guess what? The camera on that phone is right here. So this is where it needs to be. It's where it needs to be, here, talking here. Bring it up. Okay, bring it up. Away from your face. Not to mention, when it's down, you're at about 5 more chins to your life. So, keep that up to keep that tight, and you can see, and it's good light. Okay, so it's multiple purposes. Okay, and loosen up. Just enjoy. Loosen up. Be yourself. Be your authentic self. Present. Talk. Be engaging. Be friendly. Just be yourself. Okay, again, if you start not like what you're doing, just end the live. That's all. Just end it. And every platform, doesn't matter what it is, you can go back and delete it. So you say, oh my gosh, I didn't like what that was. End it and go delete it. Done deal. Done deal. Okay, no harm, no foul. Can you hear me now? I say that because a good microphone, bandwidth. Be cautious of all internet providers are different. You want to go live, but if you're using a provider and you have not paid for better bandwidth, it won't matter. You're going to be staggering, because your feed is not a good feed. So I see that happen a lot, and people If you have a good company, find that place in your home. Find that place where you have the best signal ever, and that's where you should go live all the time. Okay. And this is basically Wi-Fi. If you're hardwired, not an issue. But Wi-Fi, find that place in your house, find that place in your business or out wherever it is where it's minimal sound. Remember, I talked about minimal sound. So it's just you. And it's a good, strong signal. All right. Interaction is key. I said that before. Interaction, 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 interaction. And last but not least, again, check the mirror. Make sure everything's together. Make sure your clothes are together. Make sure lotion your hands, all those things. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful to everybody. I thank you for joining. Any questions, feel free to inbox, email me. Again, I'm here to help. Thank you, Miss Sarah. I'm getting ready to sign off. Blessings at the funeral that you're at. We're ending the live now. All the other students, thank you, thank you, thank you,